Today I am going to explain about the temp tables. In the SQL Server, you have a concept called temp tables. Temp table. Here, before going to that, whatever the data you want to store, whatever the data let's say you want to store the data. What you do, you store the data in a tables. These tables are physically present on a database. They are physically present on a database. Okay, but they are physically present. Let's take in a query. You have a scenario where you want to take the data, store it in a procedure, store it in one table, okay, and then or else best example I'll give it to you. I think that should be a good one. Let's take I have a queries. I have a query where select star from table 1 inner join. I'm just writing ij is inner join. Here I have got the direct table. Select star from table 2 inner join table 3 on condition. This is what I got. Okay, you are given the name with the some call. This is a kind of derived table. Then you will have a condition here. Okay, let's assume this is the one query I have. At the same time, I also got other query. Select star from table 10, and here this inner joins again. This inner joins again. Will use the same query here again for this inner join too, and again you will have some condition. Okay, let me know guys if you didn't get this one. Here I am joining a table where I am using a derived table, some query. Next I am joining with other table with the same derived table query. Are you able to get up to here? No.
Yes.
Yeah, now you have to understand, even though I am using the same query two times, I am using the same result set. Whatever the output I get by running this query, I am using two times, one here in one query, other in other query. Here, first time when you execute, let's say this execution might take 10 seconds. And second time you execute, again it will take 10 seconds. It will not say, okay, you are executed first, second time there is no need for you to execute, just you will get the output. No, you have to again execute the same query in the second query here also. You have to execute that second time also, you have to execute the same query to get the result set. And here, when you execute the first one, the query is being passed to the database. Again on the database, you are going to run this query and it will join multiple tables and then you will get the output. It will take some time. So there is lot of memory is being utilized for running the queries and other stuff. Here also the same thing. So what you do for this purpose, whatever the query you got, you will execute that query and store it in a one table. Whatever the query you got, you will load that query into a temp table. Whatever the output you got from the query, you will load that query into a temp table. After that, here instead of using this, you will just use the temp table here and here, because the temp table already got the pre-calculated data. That's where you will use a temp table. Are you able to get my point? Hello? Now we are going to see a example for the temp table. Let's say I either select star from ADDR address or else I select star from EMP. This is in the SQL class database. Execute. Okay. Now, okay. I want to delete the duplicate records from here. For that purpose, what I'll do? Yep. So, oh yeah. Before going to the, you can see one more thing here. Let's assume whatever the data I got in the employee table, I want to insert the data into the other table. The table is not exist. The table doesn't exist. I want to create a new table and load the data EMP in the other table. It is a separate concept, but anyway, you are seeing now, so that's the reason I'm explaining you. Now, if you want to load the data into the other table, so currently I got only the EMP. Now, what I want to do is that EMP has duplicate records. My requirement is that since it has duplicate records, I don't want to delete the duplicate record. I want to use the duplicate records for other scenario where I want to explain the city. There I want to use that duplicate records. Okay. For that purpose, what I want to do, I want to duplicate the data into other table. I want to duplicate this data into other table. Okay. Then what I will do, and that table doesn't exist. I have to create a new table, and then I want to load this only the unique records, not the repeated one, into other table. For that purpose, what I'll be doing here, in order to get the distinct records, I'll write distinct. Since for whichever records are duplicated, they are having the same data, right? 1A, 1A, 3C, 3C. So when you do the distinct star, we get only the unique records. I got it. Now I want to insert that records into a table called EMP1. And the table doesn't exist. I want to create that structure now. For that purpose, in a SQL Server, before the from class, you can directly give into EMP1. And this is a database you got, right? EMP1. Automatically, the records will be inserted into the EMP with the table structure created. If I open now, you have the EMP1 created now. Automatically, tables will be created. Now, if I execute the same query again, it will throw an error. Because that EMP1 is already created, so you can't create the table one here. EMP1 again. Okay. So, into EMP1 is, you can write anything. Whatever the columns you want, you can select the columns here. Whatever the columns you want, you can select the column. And before from, if you give into EMP1, then the table will be created automatically with the same structure of the data. Now I got one table called EMP1. So select star from EMP1. Then I have one more table called select star from address. Select star from address one. Now I'll have one more query here. I'll move this to the right side of it. So browser. Now I'll execute all. Now I'll get the data in EMP1, EMP2 and EMP3. Sorry, EMP1 address and address one table. Okay. Now my requirement is what I want. I want to get the list of records from address. Select star from ADDR. Okay, where ID, EMP ID, not in. Select EMP ID from EMP table, EMP1 table. This is what I want. I want to get the list of records from address where that ID should not be there in the EMP1. Now I want to write the same query again where that records are not there in the. I want to get the records from the address one table where that ID should not be there in the EMP1. Okay. Now here I am using the same result set in two queries. I am using this result set in the one query. I am also using this result set in the other query. Now if I execute this, what is going to happen? I am going to get two results. See, in the first table, 4 is not there in the employee, so I got 4. In the second table, 5 is not there in the EMP1 table, so I got 5. Everyone is clear up to here? Is everyone clear? Hello? Yeah. So what I will do now, I'll create one table called temp, create table. We'll go with the temp table, create table. For temp table, it's the kind of the same, whatever structure, whatever the properties you use for creating a table, the temp table also you do the same thing, but temp table will not store here. I'll show where temp table will be stored and what is the scope of temp table, how much time the temp table will be there. For creating a temp table, you should always give the pound sign. Then I'll give the table name called address. This is a temp table. I'll give the address. I'll create a structure here. I'll create ID, EMP ID, integer. That's it. And I'll close it. Done. I got the table. Then what I'll do, I'll insert into address. Okay. Then whatever the output I get from the select, I'll insert only that records into the address. Now I'll have the data in the EMP table, in the address table. See, select star from temp address. Now when I execute this, I'll get the records, all the three IDs, 1, 2, 3 in the address table. Are you able to get my point? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. So now, what instead of using this EMP table now, just I'll use the address here, not in select star from address. Okay, now automatically if I run this query, I'll get the same output 4, 5. That's where the use of the temp table. Now you can see, guys, see, as per my previous query and after changing a temp table, there is no difference. Because previously I used the table, now also I am using a temp table. But the usage, when the usage will be is, the query that you here, let's assume this query might be joining with many table. Inner join emp1. Okay, inner join address 1 on emp1 dot empid equal to dot empid. Next, assume we might have one more join, inner join address table on emp1 dot empid equal to dot empid. Okay, that's it. So let's assume if you want to get the output this one, if you want to use this query, okay, empid, okay, it is the emp1 dot. Okay, now if you want to use this query, then what you are going to do, this query takes more time, because here whenever you want to run this query, let's assume instead of the temp table you got this query here. In the previous scenario it was only one table, so it doesn't make any sense. It's a simple, okay, it will not be that useful. But here it will obviously it will be useful, because here for all the 3 times you're pinging the database 3 times. Pinging means go and touching the database for 3 tables. Now you are getting the data from 3 tables and then you are joining them. Since the tables has very few number of records, so that's the reason it is taking very less time. Okay, and if the table has millions of records, then this query will take more time. So what will happen here? I'll be joining with the 3 tables and all the records will be joined, and then I'll get the output. The same thing will happen here. So what I'll do, instead of this, I'll just take this query. I'll insert that into a temp table. I'll directly insert that into a temp table by writing that query here. Okay, I'll insert the data into a temp table. And then wherever I have that query, I'll just write the select star from select emp id from temp address. That's it. So here I'm reducing these 2 executions here. I can directly use that query directly here itself. Where I have already stored the data, pre-calculated data in a table, in a temp table, and I can use that now here. Instead of writing a query again, I can just use the temp table, because temp table already has the query output here. So it will save some time for me. At the same time, uh, it will also save some time for the like some performance from the database side too. Because here previously you got one big query, here you got one big query, so that big query takes some time. What we did, and each time that big query will execute, will be executed 2 times. Here it will execute, here also it will execute. But in the current scenario, it will only execute 1 time, and the output will be stored in a temp table. Now you can refer the same temp table wherever you want to get the use that output. You can directly refer the temp table here. Are you able to get my point? Naveed and Rahul? So now the one more other thing I want to say is that, see, I have created table, I have written the insert into command. That's going to take a lot of time, right? Let's assume if you want to create a table with 20 columns, you don't know what is the column size, then it will be very hard. So what I can do here, instead of this, I'll comment it. Instead of this, I can write directly before from. I can write into. I said right into. Here, giving the table name, you can give the temp table name. That's it. Temp emp1. Okay. Okay. Temp address. I'll give the temp address because this is we created for address, right? Are you able to get my point? Now I can directly give the temp address. One more thing. When so this is the temp table. Everyone is clear with this? Here, I'll load the data into a temp table, and wherever I want to use the data, I'll just use the temp table there instead of using that writing the query again. This is the temp table. Okay, temp table will exist. So if I close this window, I'll not be able to see the temp table again. Let's assume I'll copy this query. I'll paste that query in a different window. Okay, this is the window I pasted the query. Now the old window where I have the query, I'm closing that. I'm closing. Okay. Now let's try to run this where I am using the temp table. It will not work because the temp table is being dropped automatically. Whenever this session is been ended, this is one session. Whenever this session is terminated, automatically the temp table will be removed. Okay, so again I have to create this temp table again. Then I can use the temp table here. Okay, so it is only a scope specific, that the scope of temp table is only to that session. And where can I see the temp table? As I said, in the SQL Server, you have one database called system database called tempdb. That's where you will be storing all the temp databases, all the temp tables and whatever queries, whatever if you are running some huge queries which does aggregations, for doing aggregation it needs some space. That space you will be getting from the tempdb itself. Now, if I expand the temporary tables, I can see address table here. See, this is my table that I have, which is there here. If I drop the table, if I drop the address table, then that will be removed. Same like table, you can use this one too. Okay, same like table. The temp table also works as the same thing. Now, if I refresh the temp table, then this address will be removed from there. See, I'll not have the address. Okay, temp tables are nothing but if for storing the data temporary purpose, you can create the temp table, and whenever you create a temp table, that temp table at the back end, it will be stored in the temporary database. Temp database, system databases call. There is one database called tempdb. It is a part of the system database. Okay, guys, are you able to get my point? Okay. Yeah, advantages is this one only, Naveed. If you want to run this, let's say if you want to use that query in a like this is the queries, I want to use the same query again and again, like couple of times, multiple times. I want to use the same query multiple times. Okay. What I'll be doing, I'll be writing the same, I'll be writing the query here. I'll also write the query here. Assume that this query take 10 minutes. For only executing this query, it will take 10 minutes. Then what is your scenario? So you write the query here. So it will take 10 minutes here. And again, since you use the same query here, it will again take 10 minutes. So for that purpose, what you do, you execute that query one time and store the result in a temp table. After that, so here previously it used to take 10 minutes, right? That 10 minutes will be it will be taking only here in this table. While inserting the data in temp table, it will take there. That's it. After that, here you can directly use that result here instead of running that query again. So previously it used to take 20 minutes, right, for this. Now only 10 minutes will be taken here. That's it. After that, it will take less than 1 or 2 minutes. So you will save around like half of the time here. That's the one advantage. Other advantages are if you are running some process where you want to store the data for temporary purpose. If there will be many requirements, I'll show you to you in the practical thing when we are done with the session, when we are done with this all the topics, then I'm going to explain them in the practical scenarios where you use a temp table. But here this is one requirement where we use a temp table. Other requirement is that you might need some data to be stored. Then you'll store the data into a temp table and you can use that anywhere in that session itself. Are you able to get my point, Navid? And here one more thing you have to observe. This is a temp table I got. So what I'll do, I'll go to the different window. Okay. I'll write select star from temp. Sorry, what is the temp table name? It is a ADDR. Okay, this session has not been ended. This session is not in because I didn't close the session. I didn't end the session. The session is still going on. So that there's a table here. In the temp table, I'm not sure whether I have recreated or not. Okay, I didn't create the table, so I'm going to create it now. Yeah, table has been created. Now I'll refresh. Now I can see the EMP table here. Address ADDR table. Now the table is there. Now I'll try to pull the table as ADDR. It will not show because that is the temp table can be used only in this session. That is nothing but the local temp table. If you have hash like pound one time, that is a local temp table. So it can be only used in this session. If I have two hash pounds, let's take, I'll have one more hash pound. I'll execute this. Okay. Now I can use that hash pound, double pound here, and I'll use double pound here. It's also same temp table, but it is a global. If I execute, that will work. Now when I refresh the temp table, now I can see one more temp table with the address here. See, with a double pound. Now, since double pound means it's a global, so I can use the temp table in any of the session. See, I can call the temp table from different window. But how long the temp table will exist? It will only exist until the session is there. If I close the session, that's it. I'll be losing this temp table again. Okay, the temp table with single pound is a local temp table. The temp table with the double pound is a global temp table. So local temp table you can only use in the session. Global temp table you can use that in the other session too. So what is the scope of a temp table? How long the temp table can be on the server? The temp table will be unless and until the session is, as long as the session is active, the temp table will be there. If we close the session, that's it. I'll copy this query. If we close the session, you will not be using the temp table anymore. So now if I refresh it, I'll be losing all the temp tables. See, even global too. If I run this, then I'll get an error saying that it cannot be found. Okay, this is the global and local temp table. Everyone is clear with this? Yeah. There's other concepts too. I need to explain the difference between temp table and a table variable. I'll cover later on because and everyone is not there, right? So once everyone is here, then I'll explain the topics. That is a temp table. Now what I would like to do is that now I'll we are good with the temp tables. I'll try to have one more video. Which one? I'll take this EMP salary. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to cover three topics. The first one I'm going to cover the while loop. When do we use the while loop? Okay. And next I'm going to cover if conditions and case statements. I'm going to cover the while loop. Next, if condition. Next, case statement. First, we'll go and cover the while loop. Okay. So, what is meant by while loop means if you want to repeat it, if you want to repeat some process again and again, that is nothing but the while loop. You will use the while loop for that. What I am going to do, I don't want this. I'll just delete this. I can use other output. So, we'll be learning about the while loop. While loop means it's an iterative process. So when do you use the while loop? If you want to do some operation again and again, then you'll use a while loop. The best example I'll cover. So let's take, I want to print 1. Okay. Print 1 means a 1 will be printed in the messages. In the messages, a 1 will be printed. If I say print 2, then 2 will be printed in the messages. Now what is my scenario is that I want to print up to 1 to 100. I want to print 1 to 100. So I want to print values. Print is the operation which I want to repeat it again. First time I want to repeat for 1, second time I want to repeat for 2, third time I want to repeat for 3. Like that, I want to repeat 100 times. If I keep 3 times, then I'll get 1 to 3. I want to repeat this print for 100 times. Print 100. Then for 100 times, I have to write the print statement 100 times. For that purpose, since I want to repeat the same process again and again, I'll use a while loop. First, what I'll do, I'll create two variables for storing the values. Okay, I'll declare at the rate of start, which number I want to start. I'll start it from okay. I'll give the integer. Next, the variables I said, right? Variables means if you want to store anything, then you'll use a variable. So this is what I have. If I want to declare one more thing, you write declare at the rate of end, and then it is of the integer type. Since you are creating two variables, you can use only one declare statement and separate each and everything by commas. You'll get that one. Okay. So I created two variables, start and end. Now I'll give values to the variables. You can give the values in two ways. You can write it here. This is a one thing you can do. You can write a set operator. Set at the rate of start equal to 1. Set at the rate of end equal to 100. I can do both. Okay, I can give the values at the time of declaration. I can also give the values separately. Now here, what I'll do once after I have created this, then I'll create one more variable for the looping purpose. I want to loop it 100 times, right? Or else one thing I can do, yep, I don't want this. I can just go with this. I want to loop it while. Okay, while what is my condition is that whenever the start less than or equal to 100, less than or equal to at the rate of end, then I want to start the process. Begin end. So what this while loop does, while loop is the one, first it will check for the condition. If the condition is true, then it will execute this loop. And after that, again, it will check for the condition. Again, if it will check for this, again, it will check for the, again, it will check, sorry, it will execute this code will, whatever the code you got in between begin and end, that code will execute. And again, it will check for the condition. Again, this code will execute and again, it will check for the condition. If the condition is true, then only this will execute. Again, check for the condition. If the condition is true, then this code will execute. What are the code you will have in between begin and end? Then, if the condition is false, then it will execute the next one. I'll write here print end. Then I'll get the end statement printed at the end. So for this purpose, what I'll do? First, I'll write here select print at the rate of start. I'll print start because start has one, right? So I'll have the one printed. Now I'll execute from here to here. Okay, I'll execute from here to here. When I do this, okay, when I do this, one is keep on printing. See, it is not ending. Still it is running. See, I have more than 100 ones printed. I have more than 101 printed here. But still the query is running again because what is the condition here? Oh, yeah, finally it got stopped. Okay. Okay. So what is the condition? What is the condition we got in the while loop? We said, okay, start. We have a start. Then we printed start. After that, what the condition again? When this is printed, again it will go and check for the while condition. So what is happening here? Again it will check for the start. Start is 1, end is 100. So 1 less than or equal to 100 is true. Then again it will check for the start. Again it will print the start. Then after that, again it will go and check for the, it will have. But there is no end because it's a infinity loop. It will keep on continuing. So for that purpose, what we do, once the first time the print has been done, then we'll increase the value of start. Set at the rate of start equal to at the rate of start plus 1. Now what will happen in the while loop? You will print the, so the start has one value now, so you'll print the value of 1. Then you are making start, you are reassigning you are updating the value in the start variable. You are updating the value. How you are updating? You are adding a 1 to the existing value. So existing value in the start is 1. So you are adding plus 1. So now the start becomes 2. Then it will check 2 less than or equal to end is 100, right? It will check 2 less than or equal to 100. It is true. Okay, the condition is true. Then it will come again here. It will print 2. And after that, you are assigning the value here. Start value as 2, 2 plus 1 is 3. Now the start will become 3. Then 3 less than or equal to 100. So it is true. Again, this will execute. So now 4. Like that. Yep. Now it will be printed 100 times. Now if I see this query here again. Now this will be printed 100 times. After that, it will stop. See, it took only less than a second here. Yeah, when do you use this? I have a scenario. When we go to the assignment 2, then you will know about that. I have a real-time scenario, so you'll get a clear picture on that. Incrementing value, whenever you want to repeat the same code again hundreds of times, then you will use a while loop. Now see, I got up to 100, and after this, I got end here, right? Then if I execute this, now after printing 100, I'll get the end also because I have added end. See, you will have the end here. Okay. And so what we do inside after printing one, I'll also set print inner. This is in the inner loop. Okay. Now for every value, I'll get that inner printed. One inner. So only that one is executing. So once this condition is failed, like 100 less than or equal to 100, so it is true. But after 100, you'll have 101. 101 less than or equal to 100, it is false. Then it will come outside of the loop. Okay, this is the while loop. Everyone is clear with the while loop? Okay. Now, what I want to do, I'll explain about the if conditions. If condition. Okay. What I want to do is that, sorry, yeah, okay. I'll set my laptop. Yep. So what the user wants to do is that, let's take, there's a two queries, okay. Select star from ADDR address. Select star from ADDR address 1. I have two queries here. What the user wants, based on the, if we say if the value is 1, then you want to execute this query. If the value is 2, then you want to execute this query. Okay, then I'll write here print 1, print 2, or else I'll write print first, print second. Okay, this is what the user wants. So for the purpose, what I'll do, I'll have a variable declare at the rate of state as integer. Okay, now I am setting at the rate of state equal to 1. I have given the 1 value. If the state is 1, then I want this to execute. If at the rate of state equal to 1, then I'll write here begin and end statement. Begin, end. Sorry. End. Then if, else if. Okay. Else. Okay. First we'll go with the only one statement. I'll comment it. Now what the statement does, this is only one if condition. If I execute this, since it is 1, this query has been executed. In the messages you can see first. Okay. Let's assume if I give 2, then this query will not execute. I'll not get any data. See, I'll not get any data because this condition doesn't satisfy. So it will not execute. My scenario is that if there is a 2 value, then I want to have one more condition execute. If this statement, if this condition is not satisfied, then I want other condition. Then what I will do, if else at the rate of state else if at the rate of state equal to 2, then I'll write begin, I'll write end. begin. I'll copy this code and paste it here. Okay, that's it. So if I give here two second value, the second code will execute. If I give one value, the first code will execute. Now here it is 2, right? The second value will be second will be executed. Okay, second query is executed. So the second has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you can see the second. The print is second. If I give 1, then the query in the first condition will execute here. See, if you see here print, it is 1. Because in the address, the first query address as ID 1, 2, 3, 4. Second address as 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay, that's the reason. Now if I execute this 1, then I'll get 1, 2, 3, 4. If I give 2, then I'll get 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay, this is the if condition. And then I can also have if I get different value. So let's take I got a different value called 3. Then what will happen? None of the condition will satisfy, so I'll get an error. It will just execute. Okay, but what I want, in order to have the default capture, then I will have one more condition, else. If none of the conditions satisfied, then I'll have begin end. Here I will write print not unknown, not known. That's it. This is only for me to see which one I am executing. So if I give 1, right, this condition will execute. But when I give print, I can also see in the message saying that the first condition has been executed. It's only for our purpose. It's a readable to see okay which one got executed. Okay, it's only for our purpose. Now if I give 2, then that will execute. If I give 3, then this first one is not satisfied, second one is also not satisfied, then it should go for third one, which is not known. That's it. I got in the messages, I got not known. Okay, this is a if condition. Are you good with this? This is the if statement. We'll call it as a if statement. If condition or if statement. Okay, then next we are going to cover the case statement. Okay, if statements you will be using out. You can't use the if statements in a query. You can't use a while loop in a query. But case conditions, case statements, you can use in a query. In a select query, you can use a case statements. Okay, you can use a case statement everywhere. So the best example for the case statement is select star from EMP cell. Now I got the output for the EMP cell. I got 1000, 1010, 1998 and this one. Okay. Now what, let's say I got a requirement. What the requirement I have is that, I'll comment it. What the requirement, the first requirement is that if the salary is greater than, if the salary is G, I'll write greater than or equal to 100, 2000. Then I want to, then that salary, I should have one more column here. I should have one more calculated column where if the salary is 1000, then I should have the condition here called, yeah, between greater than 1000. Okay, second condition. If the salary is between 999, because 1000 already greater than or equal to 1000 I already used, between 999 means I'll use from the beginning 801 and between 801 to 999. Then I want to get a condition called greater than or between I'll have the same thing here displayed in the column. Okay, so how I want, I'll write it in a notepad and I'll show it to you. So else, if none of the condition is satisfied, if it's not between 801 to 999 or greater than that, if it's between 801, okay, it's a else condition. I can write less than 800 or less than 801. Less than means it will not consider 801, it will take less than 801. Then I want to write a value called less value, less data, less amount. Okay, now what I want to what the output should look like is, okay, this is the amount I am having. Now my in my query, uh, yeah, yeah. So I should write a query in a such a way that EMP ID, EMP salary, I'll pull on the EMP salary. Then I'll have some column called comments. Guys, give me 1 minute. My writing pad is not working properly. EMP ID, salary, and then I'll have comments. Now we'll go one by one. What is the EMP ID for the first one? We have the EMP ID is 101, 101, 101, 102, 102, 102. This is okay. We'll also have the date also. I'll just write the column called date. It is 2015 0101, 2015 0202, 2015 0301, 2015 0101, 2015 0202, 2015 0301. So it has 950, 800, 1010, 998, 1010, then 1000. Now here, what is my condition? If it is greater than or equal to 1000, so this is greater than or equal to 1000, then I want this greater than 1000 printed in the comments. 1000. This is also greater than 1000, so I'll have the same thing. This one is between 801 to 999. Okay, this is one I want in the comments. Same thing. This is a this is more than 1000, right? So this is more than 1000, so I'll have this condition here. This is the last one is this one, so I'll have the condition here. But second one 800 is nothing but it's a less value, it's a less data, so I'll have the less data here written in the 800 place, less amount. This is what I want to write it. When I write a query, I should get this output. Everyone is clear what I am saying? Hello?
Yes.
So for that purpose, what I will do, I have the EMP ID and salary. This is a column I am having. Now, in this column, I'll add one more column here. Okay, that is nothing but the case. Okay, how the case statement work is that first you write case, then you will give the when condition. Then that when condition is true, you will use some condition here. If that condition is true, then you will write whatever operation you want to perform, you will perform then. After that, if you have a second condition, then you will write when condition. Then you will write the second condition. If none of the condition is satisfied, then you can write else, and you can write whatever operation you want to perform, you can have that operation performed here. Then after once it is done, then you write the end statement. This is the entire case. Okay, so for me what I need to do here is I got the EMP salary, right? EMP salary between or greater than or equal to, right? Greater than or equal to 1000. Then what condition I want to print? I want to print a condition as greater than 1000 in the quotes. Next condition is, what is the, if that after the condition I also want to check EMP salary between 801 and 999. Between operator, whenever you use a between operator, it will count this value. It will also consider this value too. Okay. Then I want to have this between 801 to 900. Else, if none of the conditions satisfied, then I want to print less amount. That's it. I'll have the end statement here. I'll have the from here. From EMP salary. Now when I execute this, automatically it will check for the first condition. Okay. How the case statement works is that it will check for this condition. If the condition is true, that's it. It will not come to the second condition. Okay. Here, if the first condition is not satisfied, then it will come to the second condition. If it satisfies the second condition, it will not go for the third one. It will terminate here itself. It will not check the next conditions. Okay. Now for EMP salary 1000, yes, greater than 1000, 110, yes. 998 between 801 and 999, see, this is 1000. Less amount between 801 to 999. Are you able to get this? Now, I'll name the column, I'll give the alias to the column as comments. That's it. Okay. I think I have one more query here. See, now I got the output. This is where you are going to use a case statement. So everyone is clear with this?
Yeah.
So we have covered while loop. We have covered the if condition. We have covered the statement like case statements. We also covered the temp tables.